Welcome to the Parkrun Brief, the weekly parkrun training podcast where I break down what we've published this week on www.parkruntraining.co.nz and turn it into practical coaching advice you can use this Saturday. On the Sunday reset, what to do when motivation drops midweek. Every runner knows that feeling. The week starts with good intentions, Monday feels productive, Tuesday goes to plan, but somewhere around Wednesday or Thursday, motivation quietly disappears. The alarm goes off, and suddenly the run doesn't seem quite so important. The weather looks worse than it really is. The sofa looks more comfortable than usual, and the excuses become surprisingly convincing. If you've experienced this, you're not alone. In fact, motivation dips are a normal part of training. The problem isn't that motivation drops. The problem is believing that successful runners never experience it. They do. They've simply learned how to keep moving forward when it happens. Motivation is a terrible training plan. One of the biggest lessons runners learn over time is that motivation is unreliable. Some days you'll wake up excited to run. Other days you'll question why you ever signed up for that race, joined that challenge, or set the goal in the first place. If your training depends entirely on feeling motivated, consistency becomes impossible. Motivation is wonderful when it's there, but habits are what carry you when it isn't. That's why the most successful runners don't ask themselves, do I feel like running today? Instead, they ask, what's the next thing I need to do? It's a small shift, but it changes everything. Why motivation often disappears midweek. There are several reasons motivation tends to dip around the middle of the week. The first is simple fatigue. Even if your legs aren't particularly tired, life creates its own training load. Work deadlines, family commitments, poor sleep, stress, all of these draw from the same energy reserves you use for running. By midweek, those reserves can be running low. Another common cause is monotony. When every week feels the same, motivation naturally fades. The excitement of Saturday's parkrun feels distant, and next weekend still seems a long way away. The middle of the week can feel like a grind. Lower the bar, not the standard. When motivation drops, many runners make one of two mistakes. They either force themselves through a session they genuinely need to adjust, or they skip it completely. There's usually a better option. Lower the barrier to get started. Tell yourself you'll run for 10 minutes. That's it. No commitment beyond that. Most of the time you'll continue once you're moving. If you don't, you've still maintained the habit. Remember, the goal isn't to prove how tough you are. The goal is to stay consistent. Focus on effort, not outcome. Motivation often drops when every run feels like a test. If you're constantly chasing pace, fitness, or performance, running can start to feel like work. Instead, give yourself permission to have a run with no agenda. Run easy. Leave the watch alone. Explore a different route. Pay attention to how you feel rather than how fast you're moving. Sometimes the best way to restore motivation is to remove the pressure that has been draining it. Remember why you started. When motivation fades, goals often become the only thing we can see. A target time, a race, a training plan, but goals are really why people fall in love with running. Think back to why you started. Perhaps it was to improve your health, to manage stress, to challenge yourself, to spend time outdoors, or to be part of the parkrun community. These reasons still matter. Sometimes reconnecting with them is all it takes to regain perspective. Consistency beats motivation. The runners who improve year after year aren't the ones who stay motivated every day. They're the ones who accept that motivation comes and goes. They understand that a successful week doesn't require perfect enthusiasm. It requires steady action. Some runs will feel fantastic, some won't. Both count. Both move you forward. Your Sunday reset. Before the new week begins, accept one simple truth. At some point, motivation may disappear. That's normal. So instead of hoping motivation will show up, prepare for what you'll do when it doesn't. Keep your expectations realistic. Keep your runs easy. Focus on starting rather than finishing. And remember that every runner experiences these moments. The difference isn't who feels motivated. The difference is who keeps showing up anyway. Because progress isn't built on perfect weeks. It's built on consistent ones. The Saturday Spark, the one weekly workout that improves every park runner. If you could only choose one workout each week to help your park runner improvement, what would it be? Many runners would guess hard intervals, hill sprints, a fast tempo run, or a brutal track session. These workouts all have value, but if I had to choose one session that benefits almost every park runner, from first timers through to PB chasers, it would be this, a threshold session. Not all out, not a sprint, not a sufferfest, just sustained, controlled, hard running that teaches you to hold a stronger pace for longer. What is a threshold running? Threshold effort sits around level 4 in my coaching system. It should feel strong but controlled, challenging but sustainable, focused, not frantic, like you're working hard without trying up. You're breathing deeper, but still in control. Think of it as the fastest pace you could sustain without blowing up. Why threshold helps every park runner. Park run is only 5Ks, but many runners struggle because they hit discomfort too early. Threshold training helps by improving your ability to hold pace under pressure, delay fatigue, clear lactate more efficiently, stay relaxed at stronger efforts, run faster without panic breathing. In simple terms, threshold running makes race pace feel easier. That's valuable whether you run 18 minutes or 38 minutes. A simple session to try. Here's a great weekly option. 10 minutes warm-up level 2, 4 by 5 minutes level 4 with 1 minute level 2 rest interval, 10 minutes cool down level 2. This gives you 20 minutes of quality work at highly effective intensity. It's tough enough to create improvement, but controlled enough to recover from. Why it beats random hard running. Many runners run too hard too often. They turn easy runs into medium runs and workouts into races. Threshold sessions provide structure, hard enough to matter, controlled enough to repeat, specific enough to improve 5K performance. That's why they work so consistently. Where it fits in the week. A smart 3-run week might look like long run level 2 for the aerobic foundation, threshold session for quality builder, and park run for your benchmark or race effort. Simple, effective, sustainable. Saturday Spark takeaway. If you want one weekly workout that improves almost every park runner, make it threshold running. Builds strength at pace, delays fatigue, makes race pace feel easier, supports faster finishes. You don't always need to run harder. Sometimes you need to run smarter, longer, and under control. Have a great park run this weekend. Friday fast track. Boost your park run with hill reps. Longer hill reps have a way of building both physical and mental strength at the same time. Unlike short explosive climbs, these sustained efforts ask you to settle into discomfort and keep working when the hill keeps rising. This Friday fast track session is designed to build aerobic strength, resilience, and powerful running mechanics that transfer beautifully into parkrun performance. I originally wrote about this workout over on my main coaching website, where I explored how longer hill intervals can develop strength, endurance, and pacing discipline for runners and endurance athletes. You can read the original article with the link in the description. Today's workout, warm-up, 10 minutes, level 2, easy, relaxed running. Main set, 3 by 3 minutes uphill at level 4. Approximately 3 minutes, easy jog down, recovery between intervals. Cool down, 10 minutes at level 2. Post run, 10 minutes gentle stretching. Why this works for parkrun. Long hill reps combine strength and endurance in a way that few flat sessions can match. The sustained uphill effort naturally engages strong posture, efficient mechanics, and controlled pacing. For parkrunners, this session helps you build aerobic strength and endurance, improve uphill running efficiency, develop resilience during sustained efforts, strengthen glutes, calves, and running posture, increase confidence when the effort rises. The jog back down gives you enough recovery to maintain quality while still carrying fatigue throughout the session. How it should feel. Controlled and strong rather than explosive. Breathing steadily rises through the climb. The final minute of each rep feels challenging but manageable. You should finish each rep knowing you can repeat the effort. If you find yourself sprinting early and fading late, settle the pace and focus on even effort. My tip, shorten the stride slightly and focus on rhythm. Hills reward runners who stay tall and relaxed rather than those who try to overpower the climb. Drive the arms, keep the cadence steady, and think about maintaining smooth mechanics all the way to the top. Want to finish your next park run feeling stronger and more in control? Grab my free guide, Stronger for Parkrun, a quick routine to finish your 5K better. It's simple, effective strength session you can add after any run, including today's Friday fast track workout. The link is down in the description. The park runners who improve long term usually do these 5 things. Spend enough time around parkrun and you'll start noticing something interesting. The runners who improve consistently over months and years are often not the runners training hardest every single week. They're usually the runners training smartest. That doesn't mean they lack commitment. Far from it. But they understand something many runners eventually learn the hard way. Consistency almost always beats occasional heroic efforts. Long-term improvement in running is really built from one magical workout or one extraordinary Saturday. It's built through weeks, months, and years of smart decisions repeated consistently. Here are 5 things the park runners who improve long-term usually do well. 1. They don't race every Saturday. This is one of the biggest mindset shifts successful park runners make. Not every park run needs to be a PB attempt. In fact, trying to PB every single weekend often creates fatigue, poor recovery, stalled progress, frustration, increased injury risk. Instead, stronger long-term runners tend to rotate different styles of parkrun efforts: tempo-controlled runs, progressive pacing runs, threshold efforts, PB attempts. This gives each Saturday a purpose. It also develops pacing skills many runners never properly learn. Ironically, runners who stop obsessing about PBs every week often end up running more PBs over time. 2. They respect easy running. Many runners accidentally sabotage themselves by running their easy days too hard. They sit in the middle. Too hard to properly recover, too easy to create meaningful adaptation. The runners who improve long-term usually understand the importance of balancing stress and recovery. That is one reason I strongly follow the hard day, easy day principle. Hard sessions should create adaptation. Easy sessions should support recovery and aerobic development. This balance becomes especially important when runners are combining weekly park runs, midweek workouts, long runs, and busy work and family lives. Recovery is not the absence of training, it's part of the training process. 3. They learn how to pace properly. Many runners are fit enough to run faster than their current parkrun results suggest. Their pacing simply lets them down. The most common mistake, starting too hard. Experienced runners understand that the first kilometre should feel controlled, not desperate. They know good pacing feels patient early. Strong finishes come from smart starts. Effort should gradually build through the run. This is one of the reasons progressive parkruns can be such valuable training tools. They teach runners how to finish strongly rather than simply survive. 4. They build progressively. One of the biggest mistakes runners make is trying to skip steps. They want fast intervals immediately, PBs every run, high mileage suddenly, advanced sessions too early. But long-term development usually works best when fitness is layered progressively. That means building aerobic fitness first, developing consistency, improving durability, gradually introducing more quality work, increasing training stress sensibly. The runners who stay healthy and improve consistently are often the runners patient enough to let fitness develop over time. They train with purpose. One of the easiest ways to plateau is to train randomly. A lot of runners simply run hard when they feel motivated, run easy when tired, mix random sessions together, and hope fitness somehow appears. The runners who improve most consistently usually understand the purpose behind each session. They know why they are doing a session, what intensity they're targeting, what adaptation they're trying to create, how the week fits together. Training becomes much more effective when sessions stop competing against each other and start complementing each other. Why this matters for parkrunners. The beauty of parkrun is that it gives runners a regular opportunity to practice pacing, effort control, and race execution. But improvement does not come simply from showing up every Saturday. It comes from how you structure the bigger picture around those Saturdays. That includes your pacing approach, your weekly structure, your recovery, your long runs, your intensity balance, your progression over time. The runners who improve long term are rarely perfect, but they usually become very good at making smart decisions consistently. Want a smarter way to approach parkrun? If you'd like a practical framework for using different pacing strategies across 4 weeks of parkrun, download my free guide, 4 weeks, 4 ways to run parkrun. Inside, I explain tempo controlled parkruns, progressive pacing parkruns, threshold paced efforts, PB attempt weeks. The guide is designed to help you become a stronger, smarter, and more consistent parkrunner. Download it for free from the link in the description. My final thoughts, the runners who improve most consistently are usually not chasing perfection. They're simply training with more purpose, recovering better, pacing smarter, building progressively, and/or staying consistent. That may not sound exciting, but over time it's incredibly effective. Parkrun power tip, don't chase early and build into your run. There's a moment early in almost every parkrun where runners make the same mistake. Someone moves past them, the small gap opens and instinct takes over. They surge to stay with them. It feels competitive, it feels committed, it feels like the right thing to do. But very often it's the moment that pacing starts to unravel. The problem with early chasing. When you chase early, you stop running your own race. You start racing instead of pacing. That's important because the first kilometre of parkrun is usually the easiest place to run harder than your fitness actually supports. You're fresh, the adrenaline is high, the crowd is moving quickly. So a small surge doesn't feel costly in the moment, but later in the run it often becomes very expensive. Why this shows up later. The damage from chasing early usually doesn't appear immediately. It shows up in the second half of the run. By the third kilometre, breathing becomes harder to control. Rhythm starts to drift. Form begins to tighten. By the fourth kilometre, the pace becomes difficult to hold. Mentally, the run feels heavier. You're trying to survive rather than compete. And often the runners you chased early begin coming back towards you anyway. What stronger racing looks like. A smarter approach is to let the run come to you. Instead of chasing in the opening stages, settle into your rhythm. Focus on your effort. Let other runners sort themselves out. That takes patience, but patience is often what creates strong finishes, because when you stay controlled early, you preserve energy for the part of the day that actually matters most. The goal is to chase later. This is the mindset shift that changes everything. Don't aim to chase early. Aim to be the runner doing the passing later. That's usually a sign you've paced the run properly. You stayed within yourself early, you've managed your effort well, and now you've got something left when the others begin to fade. That's smart racing. A simple question to ask yourself. The next time you feel the urge to surge after someone early in parkrun, ask, am I running my pace or theirs? If the answer is theirs, let them go. Trust your own rhythm instead. Why patience wins over 5 kilometres. Parkrun is short enough that pacing mistakes matter quickly. Small surges, small decisions, small moments of impatience, they all add up. That's why controlled runners often outperform emotional runners over 5 kilometres. Not because they're necessarily fitter, but because they distribute their effort better. Bring it back to Saturday. Next Saturday, resist the urge to chase early. Let the fast starters go if needed. Find your rhythm. Run your race. Become a strong because a strong park run usually isn't built in the opening few hundred meters. It's built by staying patient long enough to finish properly. The hills changed everything. Jess Bray's Dunedin Parkrun Progress Report. This week's Parkrun Progress Report comes from Jess Bray and her performance in Dunedin Parkrun number 596 on 23rd of May 2026, where she ran an impressive 21:17 on a course where the terrain completely changes how the run should be interpreted. At first glance, the splits almost look chaotic. First kilometre 4:01, second kilometre 3:55, third kilometre 4:59, fourth kilometre 4:42, fifth kilometre 4:05. And if you ignored the elevation profile, you could easily think pacing fell apart. But once the hills are factored in, the story changes completely. Dunedin Parkrun is not flat. This matters a lot because the middle part, the course elevation, because the middle part of the course includes substantial climbing, including approximately 48 metres of elevation gain in the third kilometre alone. That's huge in the context of 5 kilometres. Trying to analyse this run using pace alone would massively misread the performance. The opening was aggressive but controlled. Opening splits of 4:01 and 3:55. That's quick running, but importantly, power remained relatively stable. Cadence remained remarkably stable, and heart rate rose appropriately rather than explosively. That tells us this wasn't reckless overpacing. This was confident, committed running. There's a big difference between attacking a course intelligently and simply going out too hard. Jess was still managing effort well. The cadence data is exceptional. Honestly, the cadence stability might be the most impressive metric in this entire run. Cadence of 183, 182, 176, 178, 178. That's incredibly consistent considering the amount of climbing involved. Why does this matter? Because a lot of runners overstride uphill, grind their cadence down, lose rhythm when the course gets difficult. Jess largely didn't. And that suggests excellent running rhythm, efficient mechanics, strong neuromuscular control, and very good uphill composure. The third kilometre was actually very strong. Third kilometre, 4:59 with 48 metres climbing. On paper, that looks like a major slowdown, but the context changes everything. Average power only dropped to 266 watts. That tells us Jess was still working strongly, adjusting output intelligently, and responding appropriately to the terrain. This wasn't blowing up. This was smart adaptation to a difficult section. The fourth kilometre is underrated. Then came a 4:42. Still with substantial climbing, but this is where things become really interesting. Power rises again, 274 watts. Cadence stabilizes, 178 SPM, and heart rate actually drops slightly, 165 beats per minute. That suggests Jess regained control really well after the steepest section. That's often where mentally strong runners separate themselves from runners who simply survive the course. The final kilometre was excellent. After 2 climbing heavy kilometres, accumulated fatigue, and significant elevation stress, Jess still closes with a 4:05. That's a huge positive because she lifted pace, maintained rhythm, and finished strongly late in the run. That says a lot about aerobic durability, composure, and race management. Heart rate tells an intelligent story. Heart rate 155, 170, 171, 165, 157. The drop late in the run is fascinating. It strongly suggests the terrain-assisted finish reduced cardiovascular strain while still allowing good speed. So the final kilometre wasn't simply sprinting harder, it was using the terrain efficiently. And that's smart racing. Power profile confirms mature pacing. Power of 293 watts, 277 watts, 266, 274 and 215. This tells us Jess adjusted effort sensibly, avoided catastrophic spikes, distributed energy intelligently, and raced the course rather than blindly chasing pace. That's mature pacing on a hilly route. What this run really showed, this wasn't a flat course pacing exercise. This was a terrain-influenced performance requiring constant adjustment, and Jess handled that exceptionally well. The biggest positive, honestly, the biggest positive may actually be how stable she stayed mechanically under climbing stress. That's a huge indicator of running economy, efficiency, composure, and underlying fitness. The key lesson, a lot of runners think strong hill running means holding pace, but that's not always true. Strong runners don't just hold pace on the hills, they hold rhythm, and Jess did that exceptionally well. Want help improving your own parkrun pacing? If you want to become stronger on hills, improve your pacing, and build more confidence over 5K, Parkrun Kickstart is designed specifically for recreational runners wanting to improve their parkrun performance. Join Parkrun Kickstart with the link in the description. And if you want your own run analysed for a future parkrun progress report, apply with the link in the description. Ka kite anō, and all the best for your next parkrun.